The Asheville Museum of Science's Summer of Science series is sponsored by Thermo Fisher Scientific, Hedrick Industries, Baker Grading and Landscaping, and Gillespie Dental Associates. To support AMOS and help us provide quality STEM education to online science explorers across Western North Carolina, please visit us at ashevillescience.org/support-us. Thank you.
This is John Newman. I'm a board member at the Asheville Museum of Science, and I'm here today interviewing Dr. Bruce Minkin, who works for Carolina Hand and Sports Medicine, located here in Asheville, North Carolina. He's also a longtime Asheville Museum of Science and Colburn Earth Science Museum board member. Welcome, Bruce. Appreciate you doing this for us.
Thank you. Fun.
Yeah. So to start off, tell us about your background a little bit and why you had that early interest in science.
Well, one of my main interests as a kid was stimulated by the museum in Memphis, Tennessee, the Pink Palace. And the curator took me under his wing and showed me everything you could imagine about natural science. I learned about fossils and geology. And I did taxidermy as a child there when I was 8. And it really stimulated my interest in science.
And speak about your relationship with the Colburn Earth Science Museum and the Asheville Museum of Science. How long have you been involved, and why do you continue to serve on the board and support the museum?
Well, I've been on the board for over 30 years, and I had a degree in archaeology and physical anthropology before I went into medical school. And I've kept up that interest over the years. And when I moved to Asheville, I immediately was attracted to the Colburn Earth Science Museum, not only from my interest, but the desire to stimulate interest in science to children. And I've been connected with them since.
Yep, and I know you well. I grew up with your kids here in Asheville, and we went on many adventures over to Tennessee looking for geodes and caving. So we've known each other for a long time, and we've both been involved with the museum for quite a while too. And it's been fun for me to see where the museum is now. Obviously, we're hitting the pause button with the COVID situation, but once that passes, we'll get back to growing a small science museum to something even bigger for the future for the residents of Western North Carolina.
It's been a great transition. I've seen it develop over 30 years. The change from the Colburn Earth Science Museum to Asheville Museum of Science has been a wonderful decision and focus, especially for the children in our community.
Well, when I think of you, Bruce, I think of this guy right here. If you can see my screen, the most interesting man in the world. And what I want you to do now is you've been on all kinds of really interesting adventures across the world. If you don't mind, why don't you highlight one of your favorite trips and adventures that you've had?
Well, I've been going to Belize for the last 20 years doing Mayan cave archaeology. And it has been a great experience over the years. Sometimes it puts you into some interesting situations, all of which I have survived. One of the things I remember that I loved was going through the jungle with heavy packs and rappelling into a 100-foot pit. And the Mayans had somehow hidden treasures in these little alcoves around the periphery of the bottom of this pit. And I poked my head in through a hole and saw about a dozen beautiful pottery vessels that hadn't been seen by anybody for 1,000 years. And that's kind of thrill that makes you want to keep trying to discover things.
With that, I think we'll take a quick break and we'll thank our sponsors. We'll be right back.
The AMOS Summer of Science series is brought to you by Thermo Fisher Scientific. Thermo Fisher is the world leader in serving science. Their mission is to enable customers to make the world healthier cleaner, and safer. Thermo Fisher Scientific, step up, step beyond. More information at thermofisher.com. And Hedrick Industries, standing for quality and commitment to service. hedrickind.com. And Baker Grading and Landscaping, changing the landscape while keeping with nature's flow. bakergrading.com. And member and donor support from people like you.
Well, I know you have some specimens for us today. Which mineral would you like to showcase and show the crowd today?
Well, these are just a few of my collection. There are probably 20 more that are used in medicine, and maybe we can show a lot of those later. But the first one is Kunzite, and I found this specimen in Arkansas. Beautiful pink crystals, and it's the natural form of lithium. And lithium has many uses in industry, but also in medicine. It's the source of lithium batteries, but it's been known since the early 1800s when it was first discovered, and later in the 1800s, at the end of the century, it was starting to be used in Europe for mood disorders. And some basic research had been done on that for almost a century. It was not approved as a drug here in the US until 1970. They don't know exactly how it works. It's not that the body has a deficiency in mood disorders, then you don't have enough lithium in your body. It's that lithium acts as a neurotransmitter. The nerve cells have these chemicals that transmit information between the ends of the nerves. And this lithium somehow affects that and improves the mood by stabilizing these chemicals. They've also are doing research to see if it might prolong brain cells. And they're trying to see if it helps in patients with conditions like Alzheimer's.
Very interesting stuff. So you have several for us today. You want to do a couple more?
This is a specimen of realgar. You can see the beautiful red crystals on the calcite matrix here. This is the natural form of arsenic. And arsenic's considered the king of poisons because it's odorless, tasteless, and colorless. It has an interesting history in Renaissance Italy. The Borgia family gained power by poisoning all their enemies. Pope Alexander VI and his general Sari came for a party there, and they were graciously served wine spiked with arsenic. The typical way of harvesting arsenic at the time was to feed high doses to a pig and hang it upside down and harvest the froth from its snout and process it with other chemicals to use for their poisons. Anyway, the Pope drank it, immediately died, and his general that had also drank the wine realized he was poisoned and was going to die. So he immediately orders the servant to slaughter a horse, and he immediately crawled inside the horse as the remedy for the arsenic. It must have worked because he survived. Anyway, later in the turn of the century, in the 1900s, a chemist named Ehrlich developed arsenic as the treatment for syphilis because other treatments are even more toxic, like mercury. And Fowler's solution has been used for centuries that has high concentration of arsenic. And it was used for conditions like psoriasis, different skin conditions, and as an energy tonic. And they think that Darwin may have died because he had a little bit too much energy tonic in him. So that's the realgar that we have here.
Well, let's take one more quick break. We'll see a couple more specimens when we get back.
Thank you for tuning in to the AMOS Summer of Science series. I'm Rachael Sparks, Board President for the Asheville Museum of Science. We're excited to share this series with friends and supporters. During the pandemic, it's important that we use digital technology to continue the mission of AMOS to spark curiosity and a lifelong love of learning. AMOS has shared online programs like our Daily Doses of Science and Ask the Scientist over 115,000 times with over 3,000 science explorers during quarantine. The Summer of Science series will share important science curriculum, and I encourage your support of our programs. Temporarily closing the museum has had a significant impact on our services and our finances, so I'm asking for your support with a donation of $40. That can sponsor 25 online engagements in STEM learning. Some can give more and some less, and any amount you can give will be very helpful. Please go online to ashevillescience.org/support-us or text the number on your screen to donate. Thank you so much.
All right, this is John Newman with the Asheville Museum of Science. We're here with Dr. Bruce Minkin, and he's showing us some of his specimens from his minerals collection. Go ahead, Bruce.
Now, interestingly, pyrite, this is a natural cube. It comes out of the ground like this. These were found in Spain, and you can see how it grows out of the matrix there. Pyrite is being used to counteract the effects of arsenic that's found in groundwater. And some areas of the country have really high concentrations of arsenic, and the nanotechnology that's used for pyrite is helpful in counteracting that and having it bind to the pyrite and get it out of the water system. Going on to Stibnite. This is the natural form of antimony. And antimony is a heavy metal similar to arsenic. A variety of uses in medicine. One of the treatments for leishmaniasis, which is a tropical flesh-eating parasite, is infusions of antimony. And I was unfortunate to get this disease while in Belize, and it produced multiple ulcers on my arm. And I received this over about a month IV, and the treatment nearly killed me, but I got rid of the disease. So it's very toxic. This is the natural form of sulfur crystals. Sulfur is very helpful in medicine. It's an antimicrobial agent, and also used in DMSO, which is helpful for inflammatory conditions.
Bruce, can't thank you enough for being with us today and helping AMOS this summer with the Summer of Science video series to try to raise money for the museum while we're closed. It's just very important to everybody to keep this place going, and I know it is to you.
I think the museum is a great source for education for all the kids in our community, and I encourage everybody to come by and learn something about minerals.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
And I know Bruce is a fantastic doctor, because personally has fixed several of my fingers and they all function. So
that's right.
Been going over the years.
Rugby has been very hard on your hands.
Well, it was flag football, and I don't play flag football anymore. So that's why I haven't seen you.
Good for your hand. Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Well, look forward to seeing you. Look forward to seeing you in person soon enough. And thank you again.
Okay. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.